Hey guys, welcome to EOC Explained. Alright, let's go over question 35. If you'd like to read through that quickly by yourself, pause and do so. Otherwise, we're going to get on with it. Alright, a student is studying the ecology of a playa lake, which forms after a rainfall in a dry lake bed. This table lists the organisms that the student observed. Okay, so first things first, what we're going to do is what awesome people do, and that is highlight a few things. Okay, a couple of things to remember. Notice it says of a playa lake. It doesn't say Lake Playa, right? So that should tell us that the name of this lake isn't Playa Lake. So don't think of it as a single lake or a single place. This is actually a type of lake. So Playa Lake is a type of lake. And we know from the next highlighted thing that it forms after rainfall in a dry bed, a dry lake bed. So what does that look like? So that's going to look something like this. So we know from our table that it doesn't last very long. It looks like the species that the student recorded start dying off after day 3, day 4. There's none left. So we know it doesn't last long, but we know it's kind of a flash in the pan. It's here and then it's gone, right? So let's look at our table real quick. So we see we have 4 days of the organisms observed. We see that there's 3 shrimp overall, and there is 1 fly larvae, and that's it. Just those things. So the main question is this: which level of biological organization has the student described in the table? Well, let's read through our answers real quick. Biosphere, organelle, ecosystem, and community. Now remember, what we are focusing on is what? Just what he describes in the table. So we're not thinking, outside the box, right? We're going to think inside the box for this one. Okay, so let's eliminate a couple of these. Let's increase our chances. First off, let's look at organelle. What is an organelle? Well, these are 2 pictures of cells, and hopefully you know which cell is the plant cell and which cell is the animal cell. Aside from the color, the plant cell is the one with a cell wall and a chloroplast, right? And the other one is an animal cell because it has no cell wall and it only has mitochondria. But let's actually let's circle the organelles. Organelles are essentially little machines, the little things that do something inside of a cell. So they're not organs, they're quite smaller than organs. We know they're inside of a cell. So that's tiny. And what he had in the box was actual whole organisms, right? Not just tiny little organelles inside of a cell. So we know from that organelle, that's out. Way too small. Let's look at A. A says biosphere. So if you don't know what biosphere is, we can at least try to figure it out based on the words used in it, right? So bio, hopefully by now we know that bio means life, and sphere is just geometry, right? A geometric shape. A sphere is like a 3D circle, sort of, something like that. So biosphere is the earth, right? So remember, we are thinking inside the box because we're just using what he says in the table. So remember, the question is, which level of biological organization has the student described? And remember, in the table, right? So all we see in the table is a couple different types of organisms. That's it. So is it a biosphere? No, way too big. Okay, so let's actually look at a table of different levels of biological organization. Okay, so what we already eliminated is we eliminated organism, or actually organelle, but we know it's a couple of different organisms, so actually an organism should be eliminated too, because that's only one individual living being. Biosphere we eliminated, so we can knock that out as well. So now we have 3 left. Excuse me. We know that, well, population isn't even an answer choice, so we can knock that one out now. So now we only have 2 left. We have ecosystem and community. Ecosystem, let's look at the definition. Community and its non-living surroundings. Okay. And a community is populations that live together in a defined area. All they mean by populations, because a population is a group of a single species of organisms. So a bunch of bison in that case, right? So a community is a couple of different populations. So that's it. So if you have a bunch of different organisms living together, well, that's a community. So that just about gives us the answer, right? So if we go back and look, we can see that, well, remember, we're sticking with the table, and that's it. What is described in the table? I see organisms, organisms, organisms. And that's it. I see nothing having to do with biosphere, organelle, way too small. Ecosystem, living and non-living, well, all I see is living organisms. So I'm assuming they're in populations. And a bunch of populations of organisms together is a community. So we have used our awesome deductive skills, and we have found the answer. So awesome job, guys.